Anyone here a fan of football? I am. And my favorite player is of course Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, who is not a fan of his? So I was watching one of his interviews the other day and imagine my surprise when he told the interviewer that one of the secrets of his success is that he practices yoga and meditation. I was like, what? That's what my dadi does in the park. Ronaldo is such an elite athlete. Why does he have to do yoga? I can't imagine sitting still in one place for long. So boring. Isn't meditation for oldies? And all those asanas. Why do any of that when I go to the gym? Every week I go for a run and once a month I go for a hike. Just stretch post-workout, simple. What is the need for these gymnastics? I don't know why so many people go gaga about yoga. Hey, that rhymed. लगता है योगा में कुछ तो होगा. Sorry. I'm on a roll today. Anyway, listening to Ronaldo got me thinking. Maybe there is something about yoga that I'm unaware of. Yes, that is how it should be pronounced. Yoga. So I'm setting off on a journey to find out just why exactly is yoga such a big deal. Not sure what I'm going to find out. So I am stating right at the start, I will listen and learn with an open mind. Hey, but please, don't expect me to give up on vada pav or to wake up at 4 a.m. every day or to become very, very religious.
Hello student. Education is not only limited to knowledge or activities given in the books, but it is the realization of human life in totality. This means nurturing oneself from outward as well as inward for growth, development, and most importantly, health. We all know now that health is very important. Around the world, health is being discussed from various angles like physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual too. The biggest challenge to overcome by an individual in today's run is stress. Stress has become a common factor in everyone's life. What is this stress? Too much to do and too little time and no energy. Where you have a lot to complete in a very short span of time and there is hardly any energy left in you. How to get rid of this stress? Either reduce the workload or change the hours of the day from 24 to 28. You see, none of these two is possible, is it? To change the time, you might have to shift to another planet. Or the only option we are left with is building up our own energy, enthusiasm. Do you agree? So when you are full of energy and enthusiasm, you can face or handle any challenge. One of the most important aspects of yoga is to provide us the path to live a stress-free life. Yoga is not religious as it is usually perceived by everyone. It is an amazing science of living. It's not a mystic practice that is performed only by Rishimonis. Yoga is a piece of limitless information that brings knowledge, which then leads to wisdom, a treasure that has been inherited for our benefit and our welfare and the future generation to come. Do you agree with this? So why yoga? Of all the capabilities that a human being possesses, the most powerful one is to be able to express. May it be writing, dancing, playing, painting, teaching, or learning to acquire degrees. Consciously or unconsciously, whatever you choose to do comes forth as an expression of yours. Yoga is the complete opposite of this. It is not an expression, but a determination of who you are. It is a system that needs much more involvement than any other thing that you do for the expression of who you are. But essentially, that activity by nature is an expression of who you are as an external personality and is not determining the nature of who you are as an inner personality. So, what your body needs is to determine the inner journey and to keep it healthy. To maintain the health of one's own body is the duty that needs to be fulfilled by an individual for the soul which resides in it, and body parts to work in coordination with each other. The harmony is maintained only when your body acts in accordance with your mind, intellect, and brain. I'm sure you wish to have a violence-free society, disease-free body, confusion-free mind, embarrassment-free intellect, trauma-free memory, and a sorrow-free soul. It is the birthright of every individual. For this, it's very essential to recognize the importance of yoga. Yoga is synonymous with relaxation, happiness, and creative mind. So, from where did yoga come? You must be wondering. Yoga comes from a very ancient, time-tested, scientific approach that is inseparable part of Indian life and culture, mentioned in the Vedas, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita. Today, even modern science has validated that our rishis knew this more than 5,000 years ago. When we think about yoga, the image that comes to the mind is of someone very flexible doing a difficult asana, or perhaps someone sitting in Padmasana or any meditative posture. Isn't it so? In reality, yoga incorporates both these ideas and is much more than that. It is a practice that affects a human being at the physical, mental, and spiritual level. The word yoga signifies union in Sanskrit. The essence of yoga is the union of the various aspects of our being. Yoga is a very old discipline from India. As the young India is curious about this old wisdom, our purpose is to connect youth, means you, to yoga with scientific manner through education and create an opportunity to explore the authentic word of yoga. The modern science have proven with reasons and logical explanation that the fundamental activities or function of one's body can be changed by practicing yoga. Yes, it was already witnessed by the ancient Indian heritage. But today, there is a science to explain this wisdom. There are enough studies and researches that proves the benefits of yoga for lifestyle disorders like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, chronic pains, and mental health issues like anxiety and depression, which nowadays youth are facing. Even for a healthy person, yoga improves strength and endurance, and it maintains a healthy immune system. The purpose of Yogasana practice is to cultivate discipline, awareness, self-regulation, and higher consciousness in each individual. As the split occurring between the excellence and failure in today's run is widened, the lack of awareness and attention to inner experience has disconnected the practitioner from his or her body. Hence, yoga is meant to be a system of increasing awareness and decreasing diseases. The yoga asana practice is the practice of inner journey to keep one's body pure and clean for the soul to reside within. Yoga is like an open source code. It can be learned and applied with no restrictions of age, gender, class, religion, or even geography. As one travels, it is an incredible feeling as to see practitioners of yoga in far-flung places of the world. It is indeed a precious gift from India to the world as offering of universal health. The impact of yoga has even been recognized in some international forums. We all are aware that the United Nations declared an International Day of Yoga after 175 countries endorsed the resolution. This was a record number of endorsements for a resolution. Yoga has even been listed by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage. In this lesson, our expert will tell you the history and importance of yoga and how yoga is a very powerful and holistic tool for our well-being. This course will focus on various body systems and the benefits they gain from specific yogasanas. For example, which yogasanas are best for the digestive system or which help the musculoskeletal system. You will understand. Let us deep dive into this ocean of knowledge for our overall health and developing inner personality and understanding the combination of mind, body, soul.
Today we shall dive into why yoga is the need of the hour.
Wait a minute, so let me get this straight. Yoga will have a positive impact on my body, which means all 206 bones, some 7 trillion nerves, 600 muscles and 78 organs will feel its effects. And that same yoga will help my mind stay calm and help my anxiety. What a multitasker this yoga is. You know, it sounds too good to be true. People think that by putting the label of ancient wisdom or traditional wisdom, we will accept any claim.
Is there a fundamental reality from where this whole creation has come? Everything in the physical world is made out of molecules. Molecules are made of atoms, protons, neutrons, fundamental particles. What are they made of? They are all made out of the packets of energy called quarks. Therefore, we know that everything in the physical world is nothing but energy, energy, energy. We can precisely calculate how much of energy is in given matter, E equals mc square. In this, everything is determined. There is no ambiguity. If you launch a rocket towards the moon, you can track the entire trajectory every millisecond. So therefore, we understood everything about the physical universe, what this world is made of, and what are the laws governing them.
Just like us today, our ancestors shared the desire to understand existence and unravel the mysteries of our universe. They had a certain vision of the human system, a certain understanding of how it worked. Many of them were keen observers of life, of phenomena, of cause and effect, of nature. Both inner and outer, they pondered over questions like, who am I? What is my purpose on earth? What is my connection to the rest of the universe? What other states of consciousness can be experienced? Is this material world the only world there is? The answers they found, the clues they received, they documented in several ways. Some of it has been passed on through oral tradition. Some of it has been passed on through scriptures and texts like the Upanishads.
Now, the science is in a turning point to go beyond the physical. The question, is this the end or is there something beyond? So what is the difference between a dead body and a living body? Physically they are same, but there is something extra. This is what our ancient students started unraveling. First of all, they also thought as we are only this body. Annam brahmeti vedanat. But the teacher said, very good my dear, go further. Then he thought of the difference between a dead body and a living body. Then he understood, yes, I may have the physical body, I may have the physical thing if I don't have prana. So, prano brahmeti vedana. He understood prana is reality. He jumps with joy and runs to his teacher, sir, I have found it. The teacher pats him on the back, wonderful dear, but I have to go further. Then again he thinks of a person who has gone into coma. The body is there, life, prana is there, something missing. Mano brahmeti vyajanat. It is the mind that's missing. Therefore again with a thrill, excitement, he goes to the teacher. Teacher is called Varuna. What do you say, sir? I may have body, I may have the prana, but if I don't have the mind, what is it? Therefore, mind is most important. Yes, you are right, dear. Go further. Find out. There are much deeper things of reality. Again, the Bhrugu start thinking. He thinks of a person who has no control over the mind. Control of the mind. Vijnanam brahmeti vyajanat. It is vijnana. The control of the mind is important. We call it as buddhi. Then this time he thought, I should be through, because there cannot be anything than the buddhi or the intellect. But the teacher says, one more step. Find out from where that controller has come. What is it that controls the mind, and from where every thought comes. That source is Ananda, happiness. Anando brahmeti vyajanat. Anandadhyeva kalvimani bhutani jayante. Anandena jatani jivanti. Anandam prayanti abhisamvishanti iti. Tad vijnaya. Something different happened. He understood that everything is nothing but Ananda. It's from Ananda the whole creation has come. It is the Ananda that sustains all of us. And when we die, we go back to the same Ananda. Having understood, he did not come back to his teacher. What did he do? Saparame vyoman pratisthita. He stayed in that wonderful state of silence, a state of blissful awareness, stayed in that Ananda Sthiti, causal state from where the whole thoughts come up, or the Ananda, Anandamaya Kosha. So the Upanishad tells us that we have 5 layers. The physical world made out of energy. Then we have the pranic world, or the bioplasmic world, the world of the living systems. Then we have the mind field, in which we have various thoughts that are coming up, the mano prapancha. Then we have the vijnanamaya kosha, the path of the intellect, path of the wisdom base. Then we have the ananda, the bliss. In Sanskrit they are called as koshas. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. These are called the Panchakoshas. This is at the individual level, called at the vyashti level, the micro level. In the macro level, samashti level, the same thing is in the world. The physical world, we have understood, is all made of the electromagnetic field, the energy field featured by electromagnetism. And all these 5 are in continual change. And in Sanskrit this is called Jagat. The word Jagat comes from word Jagatyan Jagat. That which goes on changing and changing and changing is called Jagat. So all these 5 layers are in continual flux of change.
The human being can be compared to an onion. Just as there are layers to an onion, the human being has layers. These are called koshas in yoga philosophy. These 5 koshas, Panchakoshas, cover the Atman, or the self. These are Annamaya kosha, the layer of food; Pranamaya kosha, the layer of breath; Manamaya kosha, the layer of the mind; Vijnanamaya kosha, the layer of intellect; Anandamaya kosha, the layer of bliss. These koshas have to be in alignment for us to know our true selves. With the deepening of our practice, we peel each layer to go deeper and deeper, to Anandamaya Kosha, to bliss. As we become aware of all these layers within us, our true self is revealed to us. We connect to a higher consciousness.
Role of yoga is to manifest that infinity. So we say there is nothing apart from this physical body. So we try to understand everything in the physical body. We try to explain everything based on that. So therefore, people thought that we have understood everything about the physical world and you don't have to do anything further. But then some brilliant scientists said, if it be so, then let us create prana out of this physical world. Therefore, they started trying to build a DNA or an RNA molecule. From where the prana manifests. From there, once we create this, we can get that. I remember in those days of 70s, our computers were very small. They cannot replicate a DNA or RNA complex molecule. But as we progress, by 75, 78, our computers become very big. We can actually replicate entire RNA, DNA molecules. They said, now we can create prana, we can create the human beings. Once you create prana, other things can be created. But all the efforts, one by one, they failed. What happened? They were able to create DNA, RNA molecule without any difficulty in the computer. But prana was not coming out, it was not moving. And they tried to push and see whether it can be done. So by 1982-84, they were all convinced that we cannot create prana out of the DNA, RNA molecules or any physical. It's something different, more subtle. Then came the work of Fritz of Capra, then Amit Goswami and many others who said that the science has completely turned tables. Your understanding that everything is but matter is wrong. So from matter comes prana, mind, emotions, intellect, consciousness. That entire knowledge base has to be changed. From upward causation, it should be downward causation. It is all from the consciousness that this comes. Then the final product is the physical body. Now all scientists are convinced, yes, we are in the transition to go and search for what we call as prana. And what are the functions of the prana? That is where we stand today in the physical world. We are in that transition. But our ancient wisdom base, our great masters earlier was able to unravel this mystery. It's called Atman, Paramatman, the Brahman. That is pure consciousness. And it's from that the whole world has come. So this is the understanding that we have, consciousness based approach, and this is the concept of Panchakoshas. So according to our Upanishads, the Pranamaya Kosha is made out of the principle of prana. Many people get confused. It is nothing but energy. Energy is the fundamental of the physical world. Energy cannot change by itself. It cannot reproduce itself. It cannot multiply by itself. Whereas prana can do that. The prana can condense itself. It can expand itself. It can move by itself. That's the difference between the energy and the prana. So then in our Pranamaya Kosha, which is slightly bigger than the physical body, it is prana, that living entity that makes us live. So the first confusion should be removed, that pranic energy is different from the physical energy that we talk about in science and technology. The pranic body is made out of the prana shakti. And in the physical body we have various functions. Similarly, the Pranamaya Kosha also was studied in great depth. They understood this Pranamaya Kosha is made of what are called nadis. Just like in the physical body, we have got the blood vessels, we have got the nerves, we have got the skeleton and others. How many nadis are there? 72 lakh nadis. The Prashnopanishad says they have been divided. First 72 nadis. Then each one of them have the 100. Each one of them have 1000. That makes it 72 lakh nadis according to the Upanishad. Among them, we have got three main nadis, Ida, Pingala and the Sushumna. That's all in the Pranamaya Kosha, not in the physical body. What we have in the physical body, we have the central nervous system, we have got the spine, we have the autonomic nervous system and others. Similar thing there also is there. but it means seeing, smelling, talking, hearing, even thinking. Everything is governed by that part of the prana which is in this area. Then we have got that which is below. That makes all downward things, urination, excretion, seminal discharges, peristaltic movement, they are all governed by what we call as the apana. They are also related to the inhalation and the exhalation in a sense. Then in between, we have got samana. The samana is the one that controls all our digestive forces. Any change in the samana will bring about the changes in the digestive system. These are the three: prana, apana, samana. Then we have got udana. Udana is the one that characterizes all functions in the upward region. That vomiting, the belching, anti-peristaltic process, all these things are governed by udana. When we go to the subtle level, this is the one that transforms it into what we call the prana, kundalini shakti. Kundalini awakening we say. That is also the work of the udana. The fifth is the vyana. Vyana is the one that's responsible for the sense of touch. So vyana is the one that spreads into all the nadis. So all the functions in the physical body are governed by these 5 pranas or the pancha pranas. Just like the Panchakosha, there are the pancha pranas. See the pancha commonly there. This is the understanding our ancient masters had. Now the question comes, okay, how do we know that exists? Thanks to advanced technology, this is called the gas discharge visualizer, GDV. Advanced thing is called the biowell. By using the biowell, we can get the complete picture of the pranamaya kosha.
I'm still processing what Dr. Nagendra has shared. Yoga looks at the body-mind so differently from what I've studied. I mean, it was fun imagining myself to be an onion. The only difference is that if I peel my layers, I will attain bliss, unlike the tears that will fall if I peel an actual onion. It was very interesting to learn that there are all these forces at play in my body like pran, apan, saman, udan and vyan. If I learn to pay attention to them, I can get to know what is going on within me. This really feels so empowering. I can now take charge of my health, my well-being. I mean, it seems fairly doable so far. So let's see what lies ahead.
When Guru used to teach to his Shishya, he just remembered the Shishya, he just touched the Shishya, he just gazed the Shishya and knowledge is transferred. What a beautiful power they were having. This is called subtle tradition, transfer of the knowledge. When Guru just organized some discourses and by which he is transferring the knowledge to the Shishya, it is called oral. And third is written tradition. What is the difference between modern literature and ancient literature? We have to understand. What is the difference? Ancient masters, they first experienced the yogic practices and after that they have mentioned everything. Now I am not criticizing modern literature, but we have to understand. People are writing books and books in modern era, but what about the experience factor? Unfortunately, they don't have experience. So that's why yoga is experiential science and not experimental science, and yoga term is derived from the Sanskrit root yuja. Yuja means simple understanding, means union. But if you see Sanskrit language very beautifully, there are 3 different meanings of this yuja. One is to keep properly. Second is to manage systematically. And third is in integrated way. There are 3 meanings. Only properly we don't want. Unless and until there is no systematic way to manage the things, it is useless. So properly and systematically both are important. But unless and until there is no integration between all the aspects, then it is difficult to achieve the success. So the first modern definition of yoga is integration. We have to understand what is integration and what is personality. Now let us try to understand what is personality. Every human has 5 aspects of personality. Which are those? Physical, mental, emotional, social and spiritual. It is interesting to note in this world, some are physically fit, but they are not mentally. Some are mentally fit, but they are not emotionally. Some are physically fit, well built, good musculature, but they don't know how to behave in the society. So physically they are fit, but socially they are not. Some are physically fit, but spiritually they are not. The purpose of yoga is to achieve perfect coordination between all the 5 aspects of personality. Why our personality is not integrated? Because the physical aspect is gross aspect and all 4 aspects are subtle aspects, and we give more weightage to the gross aspects and we are giving less weightage to the 4 subtle aspects which are mental, emotional, social and spiritual. That's why we limit yoga only and only at physical level, and unfortunately we consider it is just physical acrobatic. Yoga is not physical, it is psychophysical in nature. There are 3 golden rules we have to understand. The first is part and whole relationship. Second is part and part relationship. And third is equity of all the parts. What is the first golden rule? Part and whole relationship. It means that physical personality is also related to my whole personality, mental is also related to whole personality, emotional is also related to whole, social is also related to whole and spiritual is also related to whole. What is second golden rule? Every part is related. It means that physical is related to mental, mental is related to emotional, emotional is related to social, social is related to spiritual, and all the parts are interrelated. What is the third? Equality of all the parts. So all the ancient literatures, they are talking about only one thing. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. Mind is responsible for the problem, and same mind is responsible for your success. If we are capable to achieve control over the mind and its fluctuation, we are master of the situation. But if we are not capable to achieve control over the mind, then we are slave of the situation. Those who are capable to understand, they perform. Those who are not capable to understand, they just limit yoga only for physical purpose. I am not against a physical purpose. But when people say yoga is only for reduction of 2 kg weight, when only people say yoga is for flexibility, maybe, but it is the byproduct.
You know, I was under the impression that having a personality meant dressing well, being confident and capturing people's attention. Now I get to know that there are 5 parts to my personality: physical, mental, emotional, social and spiritual. Why do we place so much importance only on the physical? Having heard Dr. Gharote explain how each of these need to be integrated, it's easy to understand that if any of these aspects are not taken care of, my wellness will be affected. I mean, if I am in tip-top shape but I cheat my friend, surely I'll be uneasy inside. The spiritual aspect of my personality will be affected, and so I will be affected. But hey, I'm still not very clear on why he says yoga is psychophysical in nature. So let's hear him out some more.
What is the purpose? Stability of the mind. Patanjali Yogsootra. 2000 years back, a great master Maharshi Patanjali has written this text. There are 195 sutras divided in different chapters like Samadhi Pada, Sadhana Pada, Vibhuti Pada and Kaivalya Pada. What is yoga? He mentioned the definition in 4 terms. And sutra is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. He is not talking about reduction of the weight. He is not talking about flexibility. Maybe it is byproduct. But what he is talking about, we should know how to minimize the thoughts. From society, every day new challenges are there. they hammer our emotional personality. Up to certain level, we try to cope up with the problems. But after some time, it is not possible for us to cope up because our emotional limit is maybe totally full. Now, emotional level is full, mental level is also full now, and we don't know what is to be done because no one taught us. Mental personality, emotional personality, they are subtle personalities. Now, problem is where they are already still at mind level. So, it is a natural logic. If problem is at mental level, problem is at emotional level, treatment must be given to mental level. If we go vice versa, if we perform through body, can we treat mind? Can we treat emotions? Is there any subject? And the subject is called yoga. So, whatever practices you are doing through body, maybe it is asana, the posture, pranayam, the breathing practices, they are not for the body, they are for the mind. Yoga is not religion, try to understand, because religion may be telling what to do and yoga is telling how to be. Tadaha drashtuhu swarupe vasthanam. The purpose is to understand your true swarupa, your true nature. Why we are facing the problems? Because we don't know who we are. The purpose of your life is residing inside. The aim of your life is residing within. And we are searching where? Outside. How is it possible? If question is yours, answer must be yours. And to go within, there is only one subject, and that is called yoga. Patanjali suggested Ashtanga yoga. Yama, there are 5. Niyama, there are 5, like ethics and morals, how to behave. Asana means posture. Pranayam means breathing practices. Pratyahara means introvert the sense organs because they are always running extrovert, always running outside. Then dharana means concentration, dhyana means meditation, and finally it is isolation or liberation or samadhi, whatever you want to say. But all the practices may be different, but purpose is the only one. And what is that? Stabilize the mind and understand who you are. So, if mind is always involved, it means that in the disease also mind is involved, and in cure also mind is involved. If you want cure, then you should treat to the mind. And now medical science is also accepting most of the diseases, maybe more than 90% or 95%, they are because of the mind and mind's problem. If we want to develop the character of the youth, there are 4 pillars of such things. And 4 pillars are thinking, action, habit, and then character. What is the relationship between all the 4? If your thinking is wrong, your action is wrong. If your action is wrong, your habit is wrong. If habit is wrong, your character is wrong. So, the thinking is the first stage. This thinking is from mental aspect. If your mind is disturbed, thinking is collapsed. And that's why, unfortunately, young generation or youth is diverting.
The goal of yoga is to know one's true inner self. The path of yoga has 8 aspects according to the Patanjali Yogasutras. It is referred to as Ashtanga yoga. Before any kind of practice, the body and mind have to be prepared. Therefore, the first aspect is yama, the behaviors that one should refuse to do. These are ahimsa, not harming living beings; satya, truthfulness; asteya, non-stealing; brahmacharya, celibacy, fidelity to one's partner; aparigraha, non-possessiveness. Next, we must follow niyama, the behaviors to observe. These are saucha, cleanliness of mind, speech and body; santosha, contentment; tapas, perseverance; svadhyaya, study of self and scriptures; aishvara, pranidhana, contemplation of God's supreme being. We are then prepared to perform asana, training the body to be still and at ease in a particular posture, for a long duration of time. which will enable it to carry out higher practices along the yogic path. The next aspect is pranayama, techniques that help to master breath and to extend the body's prana life force. Pratyahara refines the ability to withdraw from sensory stimulation by external objects and deepen the inward focus. Dharana trains us to concentrate on a particular object. Dhyana is to contemplate without effort. Samadhi is when your consciousness merges with the object of your contemplation.
There are two types of exercises. One is called static exercise, another is called dynamic exercise. What is static? When there is no repetition in the action and you maintain the final position for quite some time, it is called static. What is dynamic? When repetitions are there but you are not maintaining the final position, that is called dynamic. In static exercises, for example asana, you perform asana very slowly, but dynamic practices repeatedly. In asana, you consume less energy, but in dynamic practices, you consume more energy because the mental and emotional pressure is at your muscles. When you stretch your muscle very slowly, muscle is relaxed. Once muscle is relaxed, you get tranquilizing effect at mind level. That's why yogic practices are not dynamic, they are not physical, they are psycho-physical. But if you perform dynamic practices, you develop strength of the muscle. But if you want to develop muscle mass, the size of the muscles, directly go for the gym and perform dumbbells. Very clear classification. But don't tell it is dumbbells yoga, because it is nothing to do with yoga. I am not telling physical activities or dynamic activities are wrong and yogic activities are good. If your intention is develop motor qualities such as strength, speed, endurance, agility, flexibility and neuromuscular coordination, directly go for dynamic practices. But if you want to reduce the disturbance at mind level, directly go for yogic practices. The biggest myth people they don't know today, and they consider asana or yogic practices in dynamic way. I would like to quote only 3 sutras again from the Patanjali Yogsootra. They say the first rule is sthira sukham asanam. Asana means posture, and there are 2 criterias of postures. One is sthira, the stability. Sukha means comfort. Now, if you are not stable in any of the posture, it is not asana. And if we try to force the body, then you are not having sukha, some rigidity is there in your body. But still, if I tell you this is the final posture of the asana and anyhow you have to perform it, then it turns to not sthira sukham asanam, it is sthira dukkham asanam, which is against of the rule of yoga. The second rule is prayatna shaithilya ananta samapatibhyam. What is prayatna shaithilya? It is called effortlessness. And when you perform this effortlessness, you will reach to ananta, the ultimate, which is the aim. The third and very important principle is what? Tato dvandvan abhighataha. Dvandva means dualism. Dvandva means competition. Dvandva of the body, dvandva of the mind, dvandva of the intellect as well. We have to celebrate the life, but due to competitions, we are creating troubles in our life. And yoga in fact is the way to reduce the competition. But unfortunately, sorry to say, people are organizing competition of yoga. I don't know how far they are reaching to the norms of traditional and authentic yoga. There is no a single manuscript who is talking about competition of yoga. Because youth is having number of problems only because of the competitions. And yoga is introduced to remove the competition, And if we use yoga again to create a trouble, why to add trouble in the life of youth?
Wow, I have never heard this point of view on physical movement, what it does to us, to our body, and in turn to our emotional and our mental state. I always thought that you had to feel pain while stretching or holding an asana. You know what appeals to me is the idea that we can achieve the state of sukha even when doing a physical activity. Why not? I am keen to explore how I can apply the 8 aspects of yoga and whether I will actually discover my inner self. I wonder though, how much of this is just assumption? I mean, is there any proof our yogis had?
Warm greetings to all my dear students. I am going to talk to you about the difference between science of yoga and yoga, a science in itself. It's very interesting to understand the difference between the two, because whenever a material scientist wants to explore something, he has to first identify a hypothesis on which he is going to work. As against this, yoga, a science in itself, the scientists who work in the field of yoga are the ones who are working in the natural environment, and for them their laboratory just world outside and world inside. So what we see outside is not necessarily complete truth. The person's appearance may not be what exactly lies beneath that appearance. So we have to also get equipped to understand what is underlying reality. And for that, the scientist of the inner world or spiritual scientist goes directly to the world outside and tries to find out what are the principles that are responsible, that are useful, and that govern the whole existence, of which we are also a part. When body, mind, intellect, emotions, and spirit, we are all born with that, and they are all integrated one wholeness which is present in us, and that wholeness exists outside also. So when you, through various yoga practices, when you understand this wholeness within yourself, and then you have an approach developed because of the yoga practices, so that you see the same wholeness existing in the outside world. The yoga practices at physical level would help you to understand that wholeness, or prepare your body at body level so that you can perceive that wholeness inside you. And if you are able to do that, you develop an approach and right attitude and approach towards looking at things outside, and that would help you to be in sync, be in harmony with the outside wholeness.
The external, material world is made of the 5 elements. These are earth, water, fire, air, space. Every object is made up of matter that has a combination of these elements. The 5 elements that are in the external world are the same elements that make up our body. This indicates the deep connection between us and universal existence. When we are conscious of these elements, we become aware not only of ourselves, but also gain an awareness of the universe and how it works. The 5 elements need to be in balance for our well-being.
If the friction between inside world and outside world comes to an end, and friction-free life begins, then many of our problems just disappear. With the help of modern science, you can differentiate various parts of the object, focus on their individuality, and then unite them together and to perceive that wholeness that exists in those objects. So all those aspects have to be studied separately by the material scientist. But for a spiritual scientist, he just looks at life as a whole, and he sees that oneness everywhere through perception of reality directly. He is not caught up in the apparent reality, but hidden reality, what is beneath, what is underlying reality. Superficial reality is visible to everybody, perceptible to everybody. But the underlying reality, you need to really be interested, deeply interested in discovering truth. and truth itself, and rest of the things are left to the realization of truth. You realize a simple fact of life, that you have control over breathing. When you learn pranayama, for instance, you start holding breath inside your lungs. Soon you realize that you can hold it just for some time, and you cannot indefinitely hold it inside. That is antar kumbhak. That is kumbhak inside your lungs. And there is also bahir kumbhak. That means where you breathe out and then hold and do not take breath inside. But when you actually start doing it, you realize that you cannot indefinitely either hold breath inside or hold breath outside, because it has its own limitations. So this realization that I don't have control over everything is an important factor that one comes to realize through just awareness of breath. And impermanence and permanence of life, they go hand in hand. Like simple observation, like you see a child being born, and the same child keeps growing, becomes a toddler, then becomes an adolescent, then becomes adult, then middle age. And so part of it is growing and changing, and at existential level, newly born child and middle-aged person are equally alive. Newly born child is not more alive than middle-aged person, because at existential level both do exist, but at apparent level they are changing. So this principle that life is a combination of permanence on one hand and impermanence on other hand, and both are going hand in hand, and we have to learn to live with both. Because when you are talking about yoga, it's not just physical exercises, but it is also a way of life, how you relate with life, what is your approach and attitude towards life. So when you are learning yoga, and you'll be learning like physical exercises like yoga postures, pranayama later on, but it has to be taken in perspective, in the sense that just yogasanas is not enough, and yoga is a widespread concept. At existential level, there is an energy which binds everything together. And if we are able to experientially feel this energy within us and also outside us, and if we are able to connect with that energy, and then you are in sync, you are in harmony, you are in consonance with the whole world around you and within you. And that's the beauty of yoga, that it comes up with simple solutions, and if you practice them properly, like for instance yogasanas we'll be practicing.
There are 4 basic principles to remember while holding a yoga pose: to be comfortable, to be stable, to be at ease, to be in communion with infinity. One has to observe oneself as one applies these principles during practice. Over time, it gets easier.
Now that is possible only when your mind is completely free of thoughts, because thoughts tend to divide us from rest of the world, rest of the universe. Because thoughts give identity to us, that I am such and such person. It's a basic thought. And then I am undergraduate, I am graduate, I am tall, I am intelligent, I am not so intelligent, I am emotional. All those characteristics are based on this basic perception that I am such and such person. My name is this, I stay here, these are the names of my parents. All those details they basically are based on this thought that I am such and such person. So when you learn yoga properly and put it to practice, then through meditation your mind becomes silent, and when the mind is completely silent, then you are able to perceive universal energy principle, which is called Brahma, and that portion of it lies in us, which is Atman, of the energy that is part of us, part of the universe. So when you are completely silent at mental level, then you are able to perceive the presence of that energy within you. And if you once feel that, experientially know what it is, then it is possible to relate with the universal energy. And when your energy principle within you is perceived, understood, experienced, and if you also realize at the same time that it is in tune with the universal energy, then your oneness does not remain just within yourself, but it crosses the barriers of your physical existence and it gets united with everything around you. And that oneness between everything that exists is real yoga. And that can be pursued with the help of yoga practices. But real meaning of yoga is balance. Whenever exciting situation comes, if you enjoy that for a while, not that you avoid that, but quickly come back to your balanced state. And in the same way, if you feel low, doesn't matter. Again, come back to balanced state. And if you're able to strike this balance every now and then you'll be like living yoga. That will help you to what I'm trying to communicate to you, that whether excited or whether depressed, both things are based on that balanced state that you are actually supposed to be in all the time. Through just yogasanas, you'll be able to understand this. And Bhagavan Patanjali, the great yogi of all times, has mentioned 4 characteristics which I just referred to as part of the yoga practice or yogasanas. And the result that he is saying is transcending dualities.
You know, I'm so glad that I began this quest to understand yoga. I will never ever consider yoga as an exercise. Gosh, so many misconceptions of mine have been cleared up. I now realize that yoga is a holistic approach to my well-being. It impacts my body, mind and spirit. Through yoga, I learn not only about asanas but also about other aspects of my behavior. It was just amazing to learn how the various layers, koshas, of our being are connected with each other. I have an urge to practice yoga and experience its effects. I know it'll take time, but getting to know your true self and feeling one with all of existence really seems like a worthwhile goal to have.
Today we dived into the art and science of yoga. Yoga, the way of life.
After this introduction to yoga and getting to know its history, its context and its foundational principles, I'd like to know how yoga is relevant to modern lifestyles. Can something from 5,000 years ago actually apply to us today? I mean, especially for youngsters like us. Are there things that we need to change? Is there a way to measure yoga's impact on us? How difficult is it really going to be? And what exactly is the science behind yoga? Let's look at all this and more in our next lesson. Yogasana Anatomy, Science of Yoga.